I was folding the blankets on our living room sofa when I noticed something wedged between the cushions. My sister-in-law's phone. She'd left our house only 20 minutes earlier, rushing out after a tense family dinner. At first I thought she'd simply forgotten it, but then the screen lit up on its own, vibrating with a message that froze me where I stood. "Do not let him find out," it read. "Meet me at the hotel, room 314. I stared at that phone like it was something alive, pulsing, breathing, ready to bite if I touched it wrong. My first instinct was to call my wife, Laura, tell her that her sister, Mara, had left the phone behind, but something in that short, urgent message gnawed at the back of my mind. Do not let him find out. Him. Was that me? Who else could it be? And why a hotel? Room 314? It didn't make sense. We just had dinner. Ordinary. Slightly awkward dinner. The kind you have with relatives you love but don't always like. But nothing, absolutely nothing, seemed alarming enough to justify a message like that. The phone buzzed again. Another message. "Where are you?" she said. "You'd be here by now." No name. No punctuation. Just that. I swallowed hard and picked up the phone, hesitating for a moment, before unlocking it. It had no password. Of course it didn't. Mara always said passwords were too much trouble. For once, that bad habit of hers worked in my favor. The messages were from a contact labeled, Dan Pfeff, construction worker. Dan? No. My nephew's coach? No. I didn't recognize the area code, and nothing about the tone sounded familiar. The thread above the new messages showed a few older ones, mostly vague phrases, meeting times, hotel mentions, nothing explicit, nothing I could pin down, just enough to raise the hairs on the back of my neck. Mark, I turned. Laura was standing in the doorway, holding a mug of tea. Her voice was soft, but her eyes were sharper than usual. "What's wrong? You look like you've seen something." I hesitated. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. My wife had enough on her plate. Her job, her migraines, her mother's declining health. She didn't need suspicion added to the pile. But hiding it didn't feel right either. "It's Mara's phone," I said finally. "She left it, and they got a message. A weird one." Laura frowned and stepped closer. "Weird how?" I showed her the screen. The message. The hotel room number. The earlier text. She stared, expression tightening with each passing second. Why would she? No, it has to be something else. Maybe she's meeting someone about Mom's paperwork, or her job situation. Something innocent. Her voice wavered on that last word. "In a hotel room?" I asked quietly. Laura didn't answer. She sat down slowly, her hands trembling slightly on the mug. I could see it. The moment a thought flickered through her mind, then another thought desperately tried to shove it back down. Before either of us could say anything else, the phone buzzed again. "Room 314, 10 minutes. If you're not here, I'm calling her." Laura covered her mouth with her hand. "Calling who? Me? You? Mara? What is this?" "I don't know," I said. "But something's off." "Call her," Laura said. "Call Mara. Tell her she left her phone." So I did. Dialed her number. Listened to it ring. 1 ring, 2, 3. Then her voice, breathless, whispering, "Mark, I can't talk right now. I'll call you later." "Mara, wait," I said. "You left your phone here, and someone keeps—" "I can't." She cut in. "Please, just keep it safe. Don't let Laura see the messages. I'll explain everything. Just not now." The line went dead. I stared at the phone, at Laura, at nothing. "Did she say not to let me see the messages?" Laura asked, voice cracking in a way I'd never heard before. I hesitated, and that hesitation was enough. Laura stood up, set her mug down with a shaky clink, and looked me dead in the eyes. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "She's scared, or hiding something, or both." "I know," I said. And it sounds like she's involved with someone. Maybe someone dangerous. Room 314, Laura murmured, at Roosevelt Hotel. That's downtown. She used to meet business clients there for her marketing job. Ever since she lost that contract, though. I don't know who she'd meet. We need to go, I said. We need to see what's going on. Laura hesitated. Her loyalty to her sister battled with her fear of what we might find. I saw the conflict, the internal tug-of-war playing out behind her eyes. Finally, she nodded. Okay. But we go together, and we don't confront anyone until we know what we're walking into. We got in the car. The drive felt suffocating. Every red light seemed longer than the last. Every street lamp flickering past the windshield felt like a ticking clock. By the time we reached the Roosevelt Hotel, my palms were slick with sweat. The lobby was quiet. Too quiet. It was the kind of quiet that made you check over your shoulder even when nothing was behind you. A receptionist sat behind the desk, tapping slowly on a keyboard. She looked up when we approached. "Can I help you?" "Yes," I said. "We're looking for someone in room 314. Her expression changed. A flicker, quick but unmistakable of recognition. Worry, something else. She leaned forward slightly. "Are you family?" she asked. "Yes," I said. She took a breath. "Then there's something you should know." Laura's voice broke. "What is it?" The receptionist glanced toward the elevator, then back at us. She wasn't alone. A cold pressure tightened in my chest. Who was she with? The receptionist hesitated again, then spoke softly. She came in with a man. He insisted on paying in cash, and before they went up I heard her say, "If anything goes wrong, he'll come looking for me." I felt Laura's hand grip my arm. Hard. "What did she mean by that?" Laura whispered. The receptionist lowered her voice even further. She looked terrified. And then she added something that made both of us go still. "And the man she was with, he told me not to tell you where they were." The words hung in the air like smoke, drifting into every corner of my mind and filling it with questions I wasn't ready to face. The receptionist's voice, so calm and measured, suddenly sounded like it was echoing down a long hallway. "He told me not to tell you where they were." I felt Laura stiffen beside me, her fingers digging into my arm as if she were bracing herself for some invisible impact. Her breathing picked up, shallow, rapid, the way it got when her migraines were building, but she didn't look away from the receptionist. "What did he look like?" I asked. My voice didn't sound like mine. Too tight, too controlled. The receptionist hesitated again. She pressed her lips into a thin line, like she was trying to decide how much to reveal. "Tall," she said finally. "Mid-40s, maybe early 50s. Dark hair. Clean-shaven. Wore a charcoal coat. He had a way of standing close to her. Too close." Laura swallowed hard. "Did she seem in danger?" The receptionist didn't answer right away. She glanced toward the hallway that led to the security office, then back at us. "Les's. She didn't look like someone meeting a friend," she said quietly. "Or even someone having an affair. She looked like someone who had been given instructions, and didn't have a choice." Those words hit Laura like a blow. I felt her hand tremble against my arm. "Is she still up there?" I asked. "I don't know," the receptionist said. "They checked in about 40 minutes ago. No one's come back through the lobby since then. If they left, they must have used the service exit." I let out a slow breath. I didn't realize I'd been holding it. The elevator behind us dinged softly, but no one stepped out. The lobby was so still that the sound seemed to echo. "Can we go up?" I asked. The receptionist looked down at the desk, then leaned in slightly. "I'm not supposed to allow that without a reason," she said. "But you seem worried." And if she really was afraid, she exhaled softly. "Take the elevator. 3rd floor. Turn left. Room 314 will be at the end of the hallway on the right." Laura nodded quickly. Almost too quickly. "Thank you," she whispered. We moved toward the elevator. Laura's steps were fast, but unsteady, like she was forcing her legs to work. I reached for her hand, but she pulled it back, pressing it instead against her stomach. She always did that when she was overwhelmed, as if trying to hold herself together. When the elevator doors closed, Laura finally spoke. "Mark, you don't think she's—" "I don't know," I said. It was the truth, but we're going to find out. She was terrified. I could hear it in her voice. Why didn't she tell me? Why didn't she ask us for help? I shook my head. People hide things when they're scared. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime. The third floor felt colder than the lobby. I don't know why. Maybe the lighting was dimmer, or maybe it was the long, narrow hallway stretching in front of us. Like something pulled from a dream, each step felt heavier than the last. I could hear Laura's breathing, sharp and uneven. We reached the door to room 314. Laura stopped. "What if they're still in there?" she whispered. "Then we knock," I said. "And if they don't answer, then we knock again. And if the man, whoever he is, gets angry." I hesitated for the first time, but only for a second. "We handle it." I raised my knuckles to the door and knocked. Firm but not aggressive. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. Laura shifted beside me, anxiety pouring off her in waves. "Try the handle," she whispered. I did. It turned. The door wasn't locked. I pushed it open slowly. The room was dim. A lamp near the bed cast a soft glow, but otherwise the space was quiet, empty. No movement, no sound, just the faint hum of the air conditioner and the lingering scent of someone's cologne. A dark, heavy scent. Laura stepped in behind me, glancing around with wide eyes. "Where is she?" she whispered. "Where?" But then she stopped. Because on the table near the window, propped against a glass of untouched water, was an envelope with one word written on it. "Mark," Laura gasped softly. "Why? Why would she leave something for you?" I didn't answer. I walked toward the table, my heartbeat drumming in my ears. The envelope was sealed, but not tightly. I picked it up. My hands were shaking. "Open it," Laura said. I did. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Not even a full sheet. Just a page torn from some small notebook. The handwriting was rushed, but unmistakably Mayra's. "Mark, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. I didn't plan for tonight to happen like this. I shouldn't have involved you or Laura, but I didn't know who else to trust. He thinks I can fix this. I can't. I need time. Please don't call the police. It will make everything worse. Stay with Laura. Protect her. I'll reach out when it's safe." Maya read it twice, 3 times. Each line felt heavier than the one before it. Laura gripped my arm again. "What does she mean, protect me? From what? From who?" Before I could answer, we heard footsteps. Not from the hallway. No, from behind the room. From the adjoining door that connected room 314 to room 316. Soft footsteps. Controlled. Moving closer. Laura's eyes widened. "Mark, and stay behind me," I whispered. The doorknob of the connecting door turned, slowly, deliberately. My pulse exploded in my ears. The door cracked open, inch by inch, stopping just wide enough for someone to peek through. But instead of a face, a voice came through the gap. Low, steady, unmistakably male. "Put the note back," the voice said, "and step away from the table." I froze. Laura clutched my sleeve so tightly. Her nails dug through the fabric. "Who are you?" I asked. The man didn't answer the question. "You weren't supposed to come here," he said. Instead. "Not tonight," Laura whispered. "Where is my sister?" A long silence followed. Then, "She made her choice," the man said. "And if you care about her, you'll walk out of this room, now." He closed the door. Quietly. Smoothly. As if he'd said something as ordinary as wishing us a good evening. Laura stared at me. Her face pale, her lips trembling. "Mark," she whispered. "What has she gotten herself into?" I didn't have an answer, but I knew one thing with absolute certainty. We were nowhere near the truth yet. For a long suspended moment, neither of us moved. The quiet in the room felt unnatural, dense, almost alive. I kept staring at the door that had just clicked shut, expecting it to open again, expecting the man to come through, expecting something, but nothing happened. The silence just stretched, nearly humming with pressure. Laura's breath quivered in her chest. "Mark," she whispered. "We have to leave." Her grip on my sleeve hadn't loosened. If anything, she was holding tighter, as if the moment she let go the floor would drop out beneath us. I could see the panic climbing through her expression, rising like water behind her eyes. She had always kept things too deeply inside herself. Fear, guilt, worry, but right now it was spilling through the cracks. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I said. "We'll go. But we're not done." She swallowed hard, but didn't argue. We backed out of the room together, step by step, like people retreating from an injured animal, one that could lash out at any moment. I kept my eyes on the adjoining door the whole time. When we reached the hallway, I gently pulled the door closed. It clicked with a soft finality that sent a chill down my spine. The corridor was empty. Quiet. Too quiet. Laura held her arms around herself, rubbing her hands along her sleeves as she tried to steady her breathing. For a moment she looked like she might collapse, so I touched her shoulder lightly. "Let's get to the car," I said. She nodded, but her eyes were distant, unfocused. "He knew her," she murmured. "He knew Mara well enough to think he could warn you. What is happening? What has she done?" The elevator arrived quickly. But as we stepped inside, I felt something pinch in my gut, a wrongness. It took me a second to understand why. The ground floor button was already lit. We hadn't pressed it. Laura noticed too. She shifted closer to me, touching my arm. "Someone called the elevator," she whispered. "Someone on another floor." I stared at the glowing button. The car hummed as it descended, stopping once at the second floor. The doors slid open. Empty. But as the doors closed again, I saw the faintest blur of movement at the far end of the corridor, a shadow pulling back behind a corner. Laura didn't see it. I didn't tell her. When we reached the lobby level, the doors opened, and a subtle wave of relief washed through the air. People talking softly, the receptionist tapping at her computer, the normal sounds of a normal world. We stepped out, both of us uneasy in the bright light after the suffocating tension upstairs. The receptionist's eyes flicked toward us immediately. "Did you find her?" she asked. "No," I said. My voice came out sharper than I intended. "Has anyone come down?" She shook her head. "No one's left through the lobby." "Any other exits?" I pressed. Her hesitation told me everything. Eventually she nodded toward a hallway behind her desk. "There's a service stairwell and a loading exit, but I didn't see anyone go through there." "I would have heard it," Laura exhaled shakily. "He was in the room next to hers. He knew she was gone. He talked to us through the door." The receptionist's eyes widened. "He spoke to you?" "Yes," Laura whispered, her voice cracking. "He told us to leave. He told us." She made her choice. The receptionist's composure faltered. "I'm calling security." "No," I said quickly, remembering the note. "Please don't." Mara begged us not to call anyone. "Because she was scared," Laura added. "Terrified." The receptionist looked between us, clearly torn. "At least let me check the floor cameras," she said. "If she left, we'll know." Before I could agree or object, she was already disappearing into the back office. Laura took a shaky breath. "Mark, why would Mara leave a note for you?" "Why not me? I'm her sister." Her voice cracked mid-word. She pressed a hand to her forehead, squeezing her eyes shut as if trying to stop something from breaking open inside her. "She knew I wouldn't panic. I said gently. She needed someone who would stay calm. That's not it, she said, shaking her head. There's something she didn't tell me. Something she told you. I didn't answer. Not because I was hiding anything, but because the truth was foggy and unsettling. Mara and I were close, but not that close. At least I didn't think we were, before either of us could say more. The receptionist returned. Her face was pale. You need to see this, she said. We followed her to a small monitor room filled with old equipment. She tapped a keyboard and pulled up footage from the third-floor hallway. There, she said, pointing. We watched the time stamp. 15 minutes before we arrived, Mara stepped out of room 314. She looked wrong. Her hair was pulled harshly back, like someone else had done it. Her coat was buttoned unevenly. Her steps were too fast, too light, like she was trying not to make noise. She glanced over her shoulder repeatedly, flinching at shadows. Then the man appeared behind her, a tall figure in a charcoal coat. Only part of his face was visible. Jawline, cheek, a hint of profile, but even in grainy footage I could see the intensity in the way he moved. Not rushed, not panicked. Controlled, like someone who knew exactly what he was doing. He reached her quickly and took her arm, not brutally, but firmly. She didn't pull away. Then he leaned in close and whispered something into her ear. Whatever he said made her shoulders collapse. Laura clutched my wrist, breath seizing. "Oh my God," she whispered. "She looks terrified." The receptionist clicked ahead. We watched Mara and the man reach the stairwell door. She hesitated in the doorway, glancing back toward the camera. Her eyes widened. She looked straight into it. Her lips moved, a single word. The camera had no audio, but I could read it clearly. Help. Then the man tugged her forward, and they disappeared into the stairwell. The screen froze on that last frame. Mara's desperate eyes staring out at us from a world she was no longer in. Laura's knees buckled. I barely caught her in time. Why didn't she scream? Laura sobbed. Why didn't she run? The answer came to me with sickening clarity. Because she knew, I said softly, that if she screamed, someone else would get hurt. Who? Laura whispered. I looked at the note again in my hand. Her final warning, her plea, her confession. Us, I said. She was protecting us. Laura's breath stuttered. Mark what? He's watching us right now. I didn't know, but I felt it, the certainty that we had crossed a line we couldn't step back over. Mara was in deeper trouble than she had ever admitted, and now we were in it too. And the worst part was, I knew the man's face. Not perfectly, not enough to place him, but enough that something inside me recoiled with recognition. This wasn't a stranger. Not to me. Not anymore. I didn't tell Laura right away. I couldn't. The recognition wasn't clear enough to make sense of, but it was strong enough to unsettle me in a way I hadn't felt in years. A memory knocking from behind a closed door. A face I had seen once, or maybe more than once, but in circumstances my mind didn't want to revisit just yet. We'll figure this out, I said, helping Laura steady herself. We're not leaving without answers. She nodded shakily, wiping tears from her cheeks. The receptionist stayed quiet, watching us with a troubled expression. She looked like she wanted to help but wasn't sure how. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I didn't know she was in danger. This isn't your fault, I told her. Laura pressed her palms against her temples. Mark, what do we do now? Do we follow them? Call the police? What if calling makes it worse? Her fear wasn't irrational. The note Mara left, "Don't involve anyone," felt heavier now. Not a suggestion, a warning, and the man dragging her down that stairwell didn't look like someone who responded kindly to interference. We're not calling the police, I said. Laura looked up sharply. Why not? I hesitated. Because if this man is who I think he is, the police might already know him. And if they know him, Then calling them won't protect us. It'll put us in deeper trouble. She frowned. Who do you think he is? I opened my mouth to answer, but the receptionist gasped softly before I could speak. Someone's coming, she whispered. We turned toward the security monitor just as a figure entered the third-floor hallway on the camera feed. He didn't walk like the other man, faster, more anxious. He paused outside Mara's door, looking around as though checking for witnesses. Then he tried the handle. When it didn't open, he pulled something from his pocket. Tools, metal glinting under the dim camera lights, and began working at the lock. Laura grabbed my arm so hard I felt her nails through my sleeve. Is that him? She whispered, voice trembling. No, I said quietly. That's a different man. The receptionist's voice shook. Should I call security now? No, I said again, more firmly. Just keep the feed up. I need to see his face. We watched the figure on the monitor. He jimmied the lock for maybe 30 seconds before it clicked open. He slipped inside and closed the door behind him. Why is he in there? Laura asked, her voice rising. Is he looking for her? For us? What does he want? I didn't know, but the dread pooling in my stomach told me that the man wasn't a hotel guest who had wandered into the wrong room. He was searching for something. Or someone. After 3 long minutes, the door opened. He stepped out, looked over both shoulders, then headed away from the camera, and moved toward the stairwell, the same direction Mara had been taken earlier. He's following them, Laura whispered. We're working with him, I murmured. The receptionist suddenly pulled back from the monitor. He's coming down the stairwell near the service exit, she said. That camera's motion alert just triggered. She switched feeds. There he was, descending the concrete steps quickly, wiping sweat from his forehead like he'd been rushing. Laura's breath went ragged. He's going to leave the building. If he's the second man, I said. We follow him. Laura blinked at me. Mark, no. What if he's dangerous? He is dangerous, I said. But he might lead us to Mara. The receptionist looked between us nervously. If you're going after him, use the west hallway. It'll keep you out of his line of sight. Laura looked like she wanted to argue, but another image flashed in her mind, Mara's face in that stairwell whispering help toward the camera. Laura nodded slowly. We moved quickly, following the narrow hallway behind the lobby desk. The air felt colder there, the hum of distant fans echoing in the concrete space. When we reached the last turn before the loading dock, I held out my hand for her to stop. Wait, I whispered. I peered around the corner. The man stepped out into the loading dock, pulling his coat tighter around him. He checked his phone twice, pacing anxiously. Then another car rolled into view, a dark sedan with no markings, no logos, windows tinted too heavily for a hotel pickup. The sedan didn't park, it just idled. The man approached the driver's side window. The glass lowered halfway. I couldn't see the driver's face, but the man spoke hurriedly, gesturing toward the hotel. Then I heard it, a voice. A single line, "Is she alone?" The man shook his head. No, someone else was here. A couple. Laura looked at me. Alarm shooting through her. Mark. He's talking about us. The car engine revved lightly. The driver spoke again, voice low and matter-of-fact. Find them. The window rolled up. The man turned fast. Too fast. And I realized, with a pulse of cold dread, he was coming back inside. Back into the hotel. Back toward us. Go, I whispered urgently. Now, Laura didn't hesitate. We slipped back down the hallway, moving as quietly as we could. I heard the loading dock door slam behind him as he re-entered the building. Mark, Laura breathed. They're looking for us. They know we're here. I stopped her at a corner, pressing a finger to my lips. The man's footsteps echoed down the hallway behind us. Quick, purposeful, searching. We ducked into a storage alcove with only a few boxes stacked inside. Not much cover, but enough to hide us for the moment. Laura's breathing hitched. I gently squeezed her hand. His footsteps got closer, then stopped, right outside our alcove. I held my breath, gripping Laura's hand tightly. A shadow moved across the floor. He was inches away. Then, the man's phone rang. He answered immediately. "Yeah," he said in a low voice. "I'm still inside. I think they left. I'll check the front entrance." His footsteps moved again, this time farther away, toward the lobby. We waited 10 full seconds before I let out a breath. Laura sagged against the wall, trembling. "They're hunting us," she whispered. "And they don't want witnesses," I said. I looked at her. Her face was drained of color, but her eyes held a pleading determination. "Mark, who is he?" she asked softly. "Who do you think that man was?" The truth rose like a cold tide in my chest. I swallowed hard, because I recognize him. I said, "Both of them." Laura stared. "From where?" I met her eyes. "From before Mara even married your brother." Her breath caught. "Mark, what did she get herself into?" I looked down the hallway where the man had disappeared. What she got herself into wasn't the question. The question was, why was it coming for us now? We stayed crouched behind the stack of boxes for what felt like an eternity. My mind raced, but my body refused to move. Every sound, the faint hum of the lobby air conditioning, the distant clatter of luggage, the low murmur of a conversation, felt amplified, like someone had turned up the volume on the world. Laura's hand trembled in mine, small, fragile, like a bird's wing. I wanted to tell her it would be okay, but I didn't know that it would. "I think he knows we're hiding here," Laura whispered, barely audible. Her voice trembled, and I realized she was forcing herself to stay calm. "Mark, what if he comes back?" I shook my head. "We can't stay here. We need to move. We follow him quietly, but we don't let him know we're behind him." Laura nodded, but she pressed herself tighter against the boxes, her eyes wide, darting toward the lobby entrance. He could be armed," she said softly. I swallowed. I didn't know, but I had to keep her focused, grounded. "We'll be careful. We'll make it." Her breathing was shallow, almost stuttering. She leaned her head against my shoulder, drawing a shaky line of comfort from the contact. I felt the tension in her body. She was terrified, and for good reason. Mara's note. The hotel receptionist. The two men. We had stepped into a world I wasn't prepared for. A world Mara had been trying to navigate alone. I glanced at the storage alcove door. The hallway outside was empty. I motioned for Laura to follow me. She didn't hesitate this time, just nodded. We crept down the hall toward the service stairwell. Each step felt deliberate, measured, as if sound itself could betray us. The stairwell smelled faintly of industrial cleaning solution, and old concrete, the kind of smell that clung to your clothes. My pulse raced, each beat echoing in my ears. Laura's hand stayed in mine, firm now. "Determined," she whispered. "Do you think she's safe?" I didn't answer immediately. "I didn't know. We'll find her," I said finally, though the words felt hollow. "We have to." We reached the bottom of the stairwell, the metal door to the loading dock creaking slightly. As I opened it, the dim light from outside spilled in, washing the concrete floor in harsh brightness. The car we had seen earlier, the dark sedan, was gone. Empty. The street beyond was silent, almost too quiet for a city at night. Laura's voice caught. "Mark, where do we go? How do we find her?" I scanned the area quickly. Nothing, but instinct gnawed at me. Something small, a detail, had to give. And then I saw it. A faint footprint in the dust near the side of the building. Narrow, quick, hurried. He had come this way, or maybe she had. "Follow me," I said. "Keep low, quiet." We moved along the side alley, my eyes straining to see in the dim light. I knew every second we wasted increased the danger. The thought of Mara somewhere in the hands of that man, or the other man, tightened my chest. Every instinct screamed that she was terrified, alone, counting on us to catch up before it was too late. After a few blocks we reached a small hotel on a quiet street. No signage, nothing official. It looked abandoned. But the air had that same scent from the other building, faint cologne, a trace of desperation. Could this be it? Laura whispered. Her voice trembled, barely carrying in the night air. I shook my head. Maybe, maybe not. But we check. We approached cautiously. The front door was slightly ajar. I pressed my ear against it. Silence. Too much silence. Mark, should we? I'm going in, I interrupted, not looking back. Laura nodded reluctantly. Following, the interior smelled of dust and faint smoke, with a faint hum coming from somewhere deeper inside. Shadows stretched across the walls, and the only light came from a small flickering bulb overhead. I stepped forward slowly. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, to wait, to call the authorities. But Mara's face flashed in my mind. The desperation in her eyes, the whispered help toward the camera. That memory overrode every hesitation. We reached the staircase leading to the upper floors. The hum was louder now, electrical, mechanical, a low vibration beneath our feet. I motioned for Laura to stay close. Stay behind me, I whispered. She did, gripping my arm tightly. We moved up one flight. At the top, a narrow hallway stretched before us. The door at the far end, number 206, was slightly open. A dim light spilled out, just enough to outline a figure crouched inside. Mara, I whispered. Her head lifted slowly, her eyes widened as they locked on us. Relief, terror, and exhaustion warred across her face. Mark, Laura, she breathed, her voice hoarse. You shouldn't have come. I'm not leaving you, I said. A low voice interrupted us from inside the room. You weren't supposed to find her, it said. Calm, controlled, deadly. Mara flinched. I felt Laura stiffen beside me. I stepped forward slowly, hands raised slightly. It's okay. We're not here to hurt you. The man stepped into the doorway. Tall, shadowed, features hidden. But there was a familiarity in his stance. The memory in my mind clicked. My stomach dropped. I had seen him before. Mark, Laura whispered, voice trembling. I didn't respond. The man's eyes, dark, sharp, calculating, fixed on me. Recognition flashed. Not just in me, but in him too. You, he said softly. My throat went dry. Who is he? Laura whispered. I shook my head slowly. Someone from our past. Someone Mara tried to keep away. Before I could say more, Mara moved. Please, she said urgently. Go, get out now. I'll explain later. No, I said firmly. We stay together. No one gets left behind. The man's lips curved slightly. Not a smile. More like a warning. Then you'll regret it. Laura's grip on my arm tightened. Mara's eyes darted between us and the man. The tension in the room thickened. Every second stretched longer. And then, a sound from the street below. A car engine revving, abrupt and loud, breaking the silence like a gunshot. The man's head jerked. He hesitated. Mara's eyes widened. I realized the street sound was no coincidence. Someone was coming, someone helping, or watching. I don't know how long we have, I whispered. Mara swallowed hard. They're everywhere. He knows everything. Laura's voice shook. Mark, what do we do? I looked at her, looked at Mara, looked at the man blocking the doorway, and I realized finally the impossible truth. To save her, to protect all of us, we had no choice. We had to act fast, smart, together, and there was no turning back. I forced myself to take a slow, steadying breath, trying to push down the fear, clawing at my chest. The man blocking the doorway didn't move. He was perfectly still, almost like he had anticipated everything we were thinking before we even thought it. Mara's trembling hand gripped mine, and Laura stayed close behind, her face pale, her eyes wide with panic and determination at the same time. "I don't know how long we have," I repeated under my breath. "We have to be smart." Mara's voice broke through, quiet but urgent. "They've got cameras everywhere. If we move too fast, they'll know. And he'll hurt you." "I don't care," I said, my voice firmer than I felt. "We're not leaving you." The man finally shifted, a slow, deliberate movement. He stepped closer, filling the doorway, his presence heavier than the shadows around him. Something about the way he moved made my stomach knot. Years ago, long before Mara married my brother, I had seen someone move like that. Someone I never wanted to encounter again. Laura's hand tightened on my sleeve. "Mark, do you know him?" I swallowed hard. "Yes, but I don't know what he wants yet." The man's voice was calm, quiet, but each word sliced through the tension. "You shouldn't have come. Ignore him." I said to Mara and Laura, "We do this together. Stay close, and we stay alive." Mara nodded. She pressed herself against the wall, eyes flicking toward the man, and then toward the slightly open window at the end of the hall, a potential escape. But risky. Too exposed, I had to act fast. The man's attention was split. His eyes darted between Mara, me, and the hallway. That hesitation was all we needed. I took a single step toward him, careful, deliberate, and whispered, "Step aside. We're leaving. No one needs to get hurt." He didn't respond immediately. His gaze narrowed. Then, as if calculating something, he took a step back, but not completely. Just enough to block the hallway, still a threat. Murray's voice cracked. "Mark, we can't fight him." "I know," I said. "We don't have to. We just need to get past him." The silence stretched. I could hear our own breathing. Uneven. Loud. The tension thrumming between us like a live wire. Laura's hand squeezed mine again, as if holding on to me anchored her too. Then the sound came, the faintest click from the door at the far end of the hallway. Someone opening it slowly, carefully. "Mark, look," Laura whispered. A figure emerged, small, fast, deliberate. A man in black, carrying a flashlight. He paused, shone it briefly toward the doorway the tall man was guarding, and then moved silently, like a shadow among shadows. I caught the movement immediately. It wasn't the tall man's accomplice. No, this was someone else. Someone helping us, or someone who Mara had sent for help before the situation had gotten this far. The tall man noticed too. His stance shifted instantly. Aggressive now. "Who are you?" he barked. The figure didn't answer. He moved toward us quickly, taking position in the hallway. "Go," he said to Mara. Now, Mara's face flickered between fear and relief. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed Laura's hand and mine, and we started moving. Slowly at first, cautiously, following the man in black. The tall man took a step forward. I tensed, ready for anything. But the black-clad figure wasn't there to fight. He just created a barrier, forcing the man back. We moved faster now, using every second of distraction. We reached the window at the end of the hallway. It was old, the latch stiff, but it opened. The man in black motioned for us to climb out. Laura hesitated. "Mark, are you sure?" "I don't have a choice," I said. "Come on." We climbed out onto the fire escape, metal steps groaning under our weight. Mara went first, her hair catching on the railing, then Laura, then me. I kept one hand on each railing, the other hand brushing against Mara's back to steady her. Below, the alley stretched dimly into darkness. No car, no one waiting, just shadows and the hum of distant city life. I glanced up. The tall man was still in the hallway, now shouting, but too late. He wouldn't follow us outside. The black-clad figure stayed back, ensuring we got away safely. When our feet hit the alley floor, Mara's knees buckled slightly. I grabbed her, steadying her. Laura pressed close. "Are we safe?" Laura asked, voice shaking. "Not yet," I said. "But we're moving. That's the first step." We didn't stop. We ran down the alley around a corner, into a narrower street, shadows clinging to us, heartbeats hammering. The city felt larger, emptier. Every noise, footsteps, a distant car horn made me flinch. After a few blocks, we ducked behind a parked van, breathing hard, hearts racing. We paused to catch ourselves. Mara sank against the wall, pulling her knees to her chest. I thought they'd catch me," she whispered. I didn't know what else to do. Laura crouched beside her. "You're safe now," she said. "We're here, together." I didn't answer. My mind was spinning. The black-clad figure who had helped us. The tall man who knew Mara, who had been in that hotel before. Who was he really? And how deep did Mara's secret go? "Mark," Laura said softly, touching my arm. "We can't stay out here forever," I nodded. "We need a plan. We need somewhere safe. Somewhere he won't find us." Mara looked up, her eyes hollow but filled with urgency. "There's one place, one person who can help. But—" her voice trailed off. She swallowed hard. "It's risky. If they find us there, it could be worse." Laura and I exchanged a look. We'd already risked too much to come this far, but we couldn't turn back now, not when Mara's life, our lives, were on the line. I took a deep breath. "Tell me. Now. We go where you say." Mara nodded slowly, her lips pressing into a thin line. "We go to my old friend. Someone I trusted before any of this began. Someone who knows him." I felt a chill run down my spine. "Before any of this began," I repeated. "You mean, before Mara married into the family?" She nodded. "Yes, he's been waiting, watching. I made a mistake. And now, it's time to fix it." Laura's hand squeezed mine. "Mark, whatever happens, we stick together." I nodded. "Always." And with that, we started moving again, deeper into the night, toward a place I didn't know, toward a danger we couldn't fully see, but toward a chance, a slim, fragile chance, to finally confront everything Mara had been hiding, everything we had stumbled into, and maybe, just maybe, save her. The streets were eerily quiet, the city lights casting long, wavering shadows across cracked sidewalks. Mara led the way, quick but cautious, every glance over her shoulder betraying the panic she had been carrying for hours. Laura and I followed, keeping close silent, our footsteps muffled against the uneven pavement. The chill of the night pressed against our skin, but the fear coursing through us burned hotter. "Are you sure this is safe?" Laura asked, voice low. Mara didn't answer immediately. She slowed slightly, pressing herself against the wall of an abandoned building. Her eyes darted down the next street. "It's the only place I trust," she said. "Finally, if we're going to confront him, or survive tonight, it has to be there." I glanced at her, then at Laura. "Who is he, Mara?" I asked. "Really? Who is this man? And why is he after you?" Mara's jaw tightened. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "He's someone from before all of this, before my marriage. Someone I thought I could control. Someone I made a mistake with. And now he's watching, waiting, manipulating. He has everything at his fingertips. Money, power, contacts. If he wants something, he will take it, and he wants me." Laura's hand gripped mine tighter. "Why didn't you tell us before?" "I didn't want to involve you," Mara said quietly, almost to herself. "I thought I could handle it. I thought I could fix it, but I was wrong." We rounded another corner. The black-clad figure had vanished somewhere along the route, leaving us exposed. I wasn't sure whether to be grateful for his help, or angry that he disappeared when we needed him most. There, Mara whispered, pointing toward a narrow alleyway with a heavy iron gate. Behind it was a small, unassuming building, brick walls, darkened with age, a single dim light over the door. He won't find us here, I squinted. How can you be sure? She swallowed. Because he doesn't know him. Not this man, not my friend. He trusts only a few people, and this one, he's loyal. He'll protect us. But we have to get inside quickly. The gate creaked as I pushed it open. The building smelled faintly of wood, smoke, and old leather, a scent strangely comforting after the sterile hotel hallways and dark streets. Mara led us inside. The interior was small, just a narrow foyer, a staircase leading up and a single door at the top of the stairs. She paused at the foot of the stairs. He's waiting, she whispered. He knows what's coming, but he won't leave until we arrive. I nodded. Then we move. We climbed the stairs slowly, deliberately, every step creaking under our weight. Laura stayed close behind, her hand on my shoulder for balance and reassurance. Mara's fingers dug into my arm as we reached the top. The door at the end of the hall was slightly ajar. Light spilled out, warm and golden, cutting through the chill of the night. Mara's lips parted, and she whispered a name, Ethan. A figure stepped out from the shadows, tall, lean, older than I expected, with eyes sharp and calculating, but filled with recognition and concern. Mara, he said softly. You're alive, and you brought company. Ethan. Mara breathed, relief washing over her face. I didn't know if you'd still help. I always will, he said, stepping aside, but we don't have much time. He knows you've escaped. He's going to come looking. I studied him carefully. Mara hadn't lied. This man had presence, authority, and calm confidence. Someone you could trust in a crisis. Who is he? I asked, keeping my voice low. Ethan's eyes met mine. Someone you don't want to meet, under normal circumstances, he said. But right now, he's our shield. He knows her story better than anyone. Mara's shoulders sagged. Mark, Laura, this is the man I should have turned to first. He knows the truth about everything, about him. My stomach twisted. Him? I asked. Already knowing the answer, Mara nodded. The man at the hotel. The one who dragged me. The one who's been following me for months. He's obsessed, dangerous. And he won't stop until he gets what he wants. Ethan's voice cut in, low and commanding. We need a plan. Quick. He's already inside the city, tracking. Torch surveillance cameras, GPS signals, contacts everywhere. If we hesitate, he'll find us. Laura's face went pale. We can't fight him, she whispered. Ethan shook his head. No, we won't fight. We'll outsmart him. But you all have to trust me. Mara, you have to tell me everything he's done. She swallowed. He threatened me. My family. The police. Anyone who tried to help me. He's clever, Mark. Smarter than anyone I've ever met. And ruthless. I clenched my fists. We have to stop him, I said. No matter what. Ethan studied me, then nodded slowly. First, we secure this location. Cameras, locks, exit routes. Then we draw him in, where we have the advantage. Mara's eyes flicked to mine. Mark, Laura, this is it. We have to trust him. If we don't, we're finished. I took a deep breath. We trust you, I said. But if anything happens to her, anything, he will answer to me. Ethan gave a grim nod. And he will. We spent the next hour preparing, securing windows, checking doors, and setting up cameras Ethan had brought. Mara stayed close to Laura and me, whispering bits of information, patterns she had noticed, times he usually appeared, weaknesses he showed. Every detail felt like a lifeline. Then, just as we finished, a sudden noise outside, the unmistakable sound of tires screeching, a car door slamming, made us freeze. All three of us exchanged a glance. "He's here," Mara whispered, her voice barely audible. I felt my chest tighten. The moment we had been preparing for had arrived. Ethan stepped forward, his expression hard, calculating. "Stay calm. Remember the plan, and whatever happens, do not confront him directly." We nodded. Mara's hand gripped mine. Laura's eyes held fear and determination. The door to the building shuddered as someone tried to force it open. A shadow stretched across the foyer. The final confrontation, the one we had been building toward, the one Mara had been trying to avoid for months, was here, and there was no turning back. The door rattled under forceful pressure. Ethan's hand shot out, gripping Mara's shoulder. "Stay behind me," he commanded. The voice was calm, precise, like a weapon itself. Laura pressed herself against the wall, her eyes wide, her breath shallow. I could feel her trembling against me, but there was determination there too. Desperation sharpened into courage. Mara's fingers dug into my arm. "Mark, whatever happens, stay with us," she whispered. Her voice was steady despite the terror in her eyes. "Don't let him separate us." The sound outside stopped abruptly. Silence, thick and suffocating, settled over the room. We froze, listening. Every small creak, every shift in the old building sounded magnified, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Then a shadow appeared at the edge of the doorframe. The man. The tall one from the hotel. He didn't move quickly. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He stood there still, letting the tension hang heavy in the air. "I know you're in there," he said finally. Low, calm, almost casual. But underneath I could hear the threat, the danger. Every word vibrated with the same meticulous control that had made Mara's life hell for months. Mara flinched. Laura clutched my sleeve so tightly I could feel the force through my arm. I stepped forward slightly. "We're not here to hurt you," I said. "Let her go. Leave." He laughed softly, the sound low and chilling. "You think it's that simple?" Ethan moved between us in the doorway, positioning himself like a shield. "Mark, stay back," he warned. His eyes were sharp, calculating, every muscle coiled and ready. "Do exactly what I say." I nodded. Even as my gut twisted, Mara's hand pressed against mine, grounding me. We were together, yes, but for how long? The man's eyes flicked over Ethan. Then to Mara, his lips curved into a slow, deliberate smirk. "Ah, the loyal protector," he said. "And the one who brought you here? Clever. Very clever." Mara's lips parted, and she whispered a warning. "He knows Ethan." I froze. Ethan's jaw tightened. "He doesn't matter," Ethan said flatly. "Not tonight." The man tilted his head, studying Ethan like a predator sizing up a rival. Then he laughed softly, almost amused. "Not tonight, but soon." Suddenly, he shifted, moving just enough to peer into the room. I could see the faint outline of a weapon in his coat. I didn't see the details, but the presence was unmistakable. Danger radiated from him in waves, cold and precise. "Mark," Mara whispered urgently. "He's not bluffing. He'll do it." I swallowed hard. My mind raced, trying to figure out the impossible. Every option seemed worse than the last. Confront him and Mara could get hurt. Hide and he'd search the building until he found us. Move and we risk exposure. Ethan's voice cut through my thoughts. "We have one chance. One chance to draw him in and turn the tables. We follow my lead." Mara's eyes widened. "And if it fails?" Ethan's stare hardened. "It won't fail." The man shifted again, preparing to force the door. His patience was waning. He had been testing us, probing for weakness. I could feel the tension radiating from him like electricity. Every second felt like a lifetime. Then Ethan whispered to Mara and me, "On my mark. You run to the side exit. Do not stop. Do not look back. Get out and find the car. We'll handle him here. Mara's hand tightened in mine. Mark, I don't want to leave you. You have to, I said, keeping my voice calm. We'll come back. We'll fix this. Just go. Laura's eyes were wide with fear, but she nodded. She trusted me. She trusted Mara. We both trusted Ethan. Even if we didn't fully understand his plan. Now, Ethan whispered. I grabbed Mara's hand. We bolted toward the side door. Ethan had indicated, adrenaline propelling us forward. The tall man lunged for the doorway, but Ethan was faster. In a blur he blocked him, shifting and parrying like a practiced fighter. I didn't stop to watch. Mara and I slipped into the alley. Running, hearts pounding, lungs burning. Behind us, we could hear movement, the fight unfolding, Ethan's voice, the man's low growls of frustration. We reached the car Ethan had arranged earlier, a nondescript sedan, parked around the corner. The engine was running. The driver's side door opened before we even reached it. Get in, the driver shouted. We didn't hesitate. Mara slid into the back seat, Laura beside her, and I climbed in behind the wheel. The driver gave me a glance. Follow me. Keep low. I nodded. Slamming the door and hitting the gas, tires squealed softly as we turned down the darkened street. My mind raced, replaying the last moments. The man at the door, Ethan standing his ground, Mara whispering help months ago. And now finally, a slim chance to escape. The city passed in blurred shadows. Streetlights flickered overhead, casting brief, uncertain illumination. I could feel Mara shaking beside me, but she wasn't crying. She was alert, tense, holding herself together despite everything. Laura's hand stayed on hers, grounding her, keeping her steady. I stole a glance in the rearview mirror. No one followed, not yet. Mara finally broke the silence. Ethan, he's dangerous, more than you know. And he's not going to give up. I nodded. I know, but we made it this far. That counts for something. Laura looked between us. How far, how much further until we're safe? I shook my head. I don't know. But we keep moving. We don't stop until we're out of his reach. Mara pressed her forehead against the window, eyes closed. I shouldn't have involved you both, she whispered. I should have handled it alone. No, I said firmly. You didn't have to. We're here now, together. That's what matters. The city lights stretched behind us, shadows receding, but the feeling of being hunted, of danger closing in, lingered like a weight on my chest. I knew the night wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Ethan's plan had bought us time, but it wouldn't last forever. And Mara's secret, the one that had haunted her for months, was still out there, waiting to strike. I gripped the wheel tighter, glancing at Laura and Mara in the back seat. We're not safe yet, I said. But we're alive, and that's the start. Mara's hand found mine again. Thank you, she whispered. I nodded, though I didn't feel relief, not yet, because deep down, I knew that the worst was still coming. The city blurred past us, dark shapes and neon streaks reflecting in the wet asphalt. I kept my eyes on the road, but my mind was elsewhere. Ethan, the tall man, Mara, Laura, the last few hours of terror and flight. Every street corner, every shadow could hide the danger still chasing us. We were moving, yes, but were we truly safe? Mara's voice cut softly through the tense silence in the back seat. Mark, he won't stop until he has me, or until he destroys anyone who tries to help me. I know, I said, keeping my voice calm, though my chest was tight with adrenaline. But we're not letting that happen. We stick together, we fight smart, not reckless. Laura reached for Mara's hand, squeezing it. We're together, she said. We'll get through this, somehow. The car slowed as the driver turned down a quiet, tree-lined street. At the end of the block, a small house waited, unassuming, dark, but solid. Ethan's instructions had led us here. The person Mara called a friend A sanctuary. We parked silently, the engine's hum fading as the night pressed in. I opened my door first, stepping out cautiously, every sense alert. Mara followed, careful. Then Laura, the door opened, before we could knock. An older man appeared, tall, stern, but with eyes that softened as he saw Mara. "You made it," he said. "I wasn't sure you would." Mara exhaled, relief flooding her expression. "Thank you for being here," she whispered. "You don't have time for thanks," he said firmly. "We need to move now." He led us inside. The house was simple but secure. Metal locks, reinforced doors, surveillance screens lining one wall. A command center hidden in plain sight. Mara's eyes widened. "I didn't expect this," she said. The man gave a short, knowing smile. "Most people don't, but safety is everything tonight. He won't anticipate this, and neither will the others he has following." Ethan appeared from the shadows behind us. "We need to plan. He's relentless. If he finds us here, it'll be over in minutes." I felt my stomach knot. "Then what's the plan?" Ethan's eyes were sharp. "First, we cut off all digital traces. Phones, GPS, signals. He's using technology to track. Then we prepare a trap. He won't expect us to confront him directly, but we can force him into a mistake." Mara swallowed hard. "And if he doesn't take the bait, we adapt," Ethan said. "We survive." Laura's hand found mine again. "We can do this," she whispered. "We survived the hotel. We can survive this." I nodded. "Yes, we can." Mara's gaze fell on me, searching, pleading. "Mark, thank you for coming after me, for not leaving me. You wouldn't be here without me," I said firmly. "We stick together. That's what matters." Hours passed, as Ethan and the older man, Mara's friend, set up surveillance, reinforced locks, and prepared a plan to lure the tall man. Mara and Laura stayed close, quiet, absorbing instructions. Every moment was tense. Every sound outside the house made us flinch. Finally, Ethan looked at us. "He's coming." Soon, the front door rattled violently. The tall man was testing the locks, trying to find a way in. I could hear his voice, low, threatening. "I know you're in there," he growled. "You can't hide forever." Mara pressed herself against the wall, shivering. Laura clung to her. My hand found Mara's shoulder, grounding her. "Stay calm," I whispered. "We're ready." Then Ethan's plan kicked in. Monitors flashed. Lights blinked. Hidden cameras revealed the man moving toward a decoy, an empty booby-trapped room designed to draw him away. He fell for it. Every move he made was calculated, but the trap worked perfectly. The door shut behind him, locking automatically. Alarms echoed softly, controlled, precise. He cursed under his breath, realizing too late he had been outsmarted. We stayed quiet, holding our breath, as he struggled to escape the trap. Then we heard it. Footsteps running down the street, reinforcements, backup, or someone else entirely. The details didn't matter. The tall man was contained. Mara's shoulders slumped, relief washing over her. "It's over," she whispered. I shook my head. "Not completely, but it's a start." Laura exhaled, tears finally breaking free. "We made it," she said softly. Ethan and Mara's friend approached. "He's restrained for now," Ethan said. "But the moment we let our guard down, he'll find another way. You need to leave the city. Disappear for a while." Mara nodded slowly. "I know. I have contacts, people I can trust. I'll go far away, but I can't leave without you." I glanced at her, then at Laura. "We'll go together, but we have to be smart. No more mistakes." The older man nodded. "The city isn't safe for you yet, but with the right precautions, you'll survive, and you'll be free of him." Mara turned to me, eyes glistening. "Mark, thank you for everything." "You don't have to thank me." I said. Just survive. That's all that matters. Outside the city was dark and still, the night hiding us like a blanket. Inside we were safe, temporarily. But the weight of what had happened pressed on us. Mara's secret, the man who had haunted her. The nights of fear, they would linger. And yet, for the first time in months, for the first time since the hotel, there was a sense of hope. We had faced the danger, survived, and learned something important together. We were stronger than any threat, no matter how calculated, no matter how relentless. Mara finally leaned back, exhausted but alive. Laura held her close. I looked at them both and realized how fragile life was, how quickly it could unravel, and how deeply family, trust, and courage mattered when it did. The night stretched ahead, uncertain. But we were alive, and that was enough, for now, because tomorrow we would move forward. And for the first time, Mara would be free to face the world without fear.